The Civil War movie backstory reveals some key elements of the fictitious modern American Civil War in Alex Garland's story. Garland's ambitious film was produced by popular independent production company A24 in what can be considered its first action blockbuster effort. With a reported budget of roughly $50 million, Civil War marks a bold expansion for A24 from its traditional brand of independent content, which has become a staple of the modern cinematic landscape. Civil War's box office success helped it become one of the studio's highest-grossing movies. Civil War's cast is led by Kirsten Dunst, Wagner Moura, Kelly Spaney, Jesse Plemons, and Nick Offerman as a tyrannical United States president. Civil War offers a hypothetical near-future scenario in which 19 states secede from the country. The Western forces, led by the unlikely alliance of Texas and California, have militarized under a new American flag with 2 stars as opposed to 50. There is also the Florida Alliance, who are depicted in battle with the loyalist state of South Carolina in the film and play a major part in the violent DC showdown in Civil War's ending. The reasoning behind the seemingly bizarre alliance of Texas and California in the film is an indication that the war isn't over Democrat and Republican politics but more about Offerman's corrupt 3-term presidency. The United States federal government has disavowed its allegiance to the United States Constitution and is now held under the budding dictatorship of Offerman's tyrannical president. Offerman's president has disbanded the FBI, used military force against American citizens, and has refused to give up his executive power by disavowing the system of checks and balances that the United States has been built on since its inception. The Western forces of California and Texas likely seceded illegally in Garland's Civil War to combine their strength against Offerman's fascist president. They enlist the help of the Florida Alliance in their military efforts to storm the Capitol and overthrow Offerman's reign. Although Civil War could have taken a more theoretical stance on the exact reasoning for the United States to become so divided, such as a crisis of resources or a political impasse, Garland offers very little rationale behind the origin of the war other than Offerman's fascist character. Nearly the entire East Coast except Florida remained a part of the United States based on the official Civil War map. The westernmost states that have not seceded are Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, and Colorado, which adds an interesting dimension of conflict for the Western forces, who fight these loyalist states on either side. The southernmost state on the East Coast that has not succeeded in Civil War is South Carolina. Alaska and Hawaii are also loyalist states but are both likely to be more neutral parties since they are geographically so far from the mainland United States. The Western forces were able to acquire military-grade helicopters, Humvees, weapons, and supplies in Civil War. A Western forces military camp shown in Civil War appears like it's part of the United States Army but flies the 2-star Western forces flag, indicating just how large the WF military has grown. The aerial bombings at the start of Civil War were orchestrated by the president against his own citizens, meaning that there were advanced resources on both sides. The New People's Army has a minor role in the overall conflict but is implied to be storming the Capitol alongside the WF at the end of the film. The theoretical Civil War in Garland's movie is a result of Offerman's totalitarian president going rogue and disobeying the United States Constitution, which only permits any president from serving 2 4-year terms. By refusing to abide by the Constitution, the president had set a dangerous precedent that is essentially un-American, which has caused a national outcry to the point of secession and the forming of militias. In a way, the actions of the United States citizens in the film are quite American, considering the circumstances of the American Revolutionary War that gave birth to the country in 1776. The Western forces of Texas and California chose to bear arms under a new flag to preserve the true identity of the United States, which Offerman's president had effectively destroyed. Pair his abuse of power with his unhinged decisions to disband the FBI and order airstrikes on American citizens, and naturally, a civil war ensues. If there is one person to blame for the start of the Civil War in Garland's cautionary film, it's unquestionably Offerman's president. His death at the end of the movie is crucial because he represents the source of the entire conflict.